All right, so another special edition of Eurozone on the Our Media channel, where we'll be looking at all the action that transpired in the second leg of the round of 16 games that were played across Europe. 8 teams have booked a place in the last 8 of the competition. 7 of those 8 teams already in the last 14 years or 14 seasons in the Champions League have booked a place in the final, or played at least one final. But then just one team have not played in the final since 2005-2006, and that is Arsenal, that won in that penalty shootout against FC Porto to qualify for the last 8. But then also in the Europa, AS Roma, they have booked a place in the last 8 at the expense of Brighton and Hove Albion, and this set up a quarter-final clash with AC Milan. And also Aston Villa from the Premier League, they got a 4-0 win over Ajax to also advance to the last 8. So this is the Eurozone, where we bring to you all the latest happenings, the action, and also the trending news across European top-tier football, from the Champions League to the Conference League, and then also to the Europa League. And today I'll be doing this with my man, Force, who will be dissecting and also talking about issues trending in Europe. Welcome, Force.
Thank you.
How's it going?
I'm blessed.
Let's start off with the UEFA Champions League. 8 teams booked their place in the last 8. 7 of them in the last 14 seasons in the UEFA Champions League, they have played at least one final. Only Arsenal are the team not to have played in the final in the last 14 seasons. But then also you can't write them off because they are playing some exciting football. But then let's talk about the teams that have already qualified. Barcelona, Atletico de Madrid, Borussia Dortmund, Paris Saint-Germain, Real Madrid, Manchester City are also there. All these teams have booked a place in the last 8. What do you make of these teams?
Well, to be candid with you, I just want to say that this season's Champions League has not really thrown surprises, right? Because these are big guns when it comes to European football. Madrid, Bayern, Barcelona, Manchester City, PSG. With the exception of Arsenal, right? Because for the past 15 years, yeah, or close to 15 years, they've never really had a look in when it comes to the quarters or the semis of the Champions League. So I am not really surprised with the teams that have been able to qualify, because they are the top guns. They are the big boys when it comes to the Champions League. So they are fairly expected of them to be there.
Let's start off with the Atletico de Madrid and also Borussia Dortmund game. Where do you think it's going to go?
Well, it's not necessarily to say where do I think it's going to go, but Atletico Madrid has shown something that I think is very difficult for clubs to really show. Beating Inter Milan, the most informed club in Europe as we speak currently, right? But they showed some capacity about them. They showed some confidence, right? To come down from a go down, to come from a go down, and then beat Inter Milan. So at the end of the day, I think Atletico Madrid are pedigree, because they played in the finals twice, right? Lost to Madrid. So when it comes to Champions League exposure and experience, and what currently this season is bringing out, I really think that Atletico Madrid, if everything is possible and the possibilities are right, then Atletico Madrid is going to win.
But then on that same side of the draw, you have Paris Saint-Germain coming up against Barcelona. Kylian Mbappe, he stated clearly that he's not going to stay with PSG anymore. So probably this could be his last season with the club. And, there's a lot to prove. Despite the dominance locally, he's yet to prove anything with the team, in the UEFA Champions League. Where does this one go?
For Kylian Mbappe to be remembered as a PSG legend, this is the time for him, right? Because at the end of the day, he's made a lot of money playing for PSG, but he hasn't really been that effective when it comes to the most important games for PSG, right? The reason for which he was brought from Monaco. So this is going to be his swan song season, the season that he has to show, because remember, PSG has showed practically every single player that they had last season who had some pedigree about them, like Messi, Neymar, Sergio Ramos. They are all gone, right?
Verratti.
So all of them are gone. So this is the stage for Kylian Mbappe to show that, yes, I've got what it takes to put PSG at that pedestal, right? And it's going to be very interesting. Should PSG go on to win the Champions League? But the question is going to be asked: why was it then that with all the stars they were not able to do it? I get to the point, but the moment they showed all the stars, they were able to win the Champions League. So it's going to boil down to what Kylian Mbappe would be able to do, and he did it right in the last stage, right, when he got those goals for PSG. So I take, and on a bigger level as well, you realize that this game means a lot for PSG.
But is that the moment you'd say could be the turning point for Kylian Mbappe with regards to that PSG and also Real Madrid saga?
But when it comes to the saga, I would say that PSG, from the footballing perspective, did well, but from the business perspective, they were very shambolic, right? Because there's no way you were going to turn down a £200 million quid, right?
For a player who has just 1 year left on his contract.
Just a year on his contract. And you see, they wanted to prove to Madrid that, yes, they've got that temerity, they've got that influence to compete with Madrid. But I can tell you for a fact that it takes some courage for you to say that you are not taking 200 million for a player who has only a year on his contract. But that aside that point, realize that a couple of seasons ago, PSG has had an opportunity to move to the Champions League semis, right? And they collapsed. It was the Camp Nou debacle, right? When they won 4-0 at the Parc des Princes, right? And they went to the Camp Nou and they were totally annihilated. They were totally outplayed, especially by a young Neymar.
Will they be going into the fixture with that at the back of their minds, knowing that, you know, their pedigree egos were bruised during that season?
If they don't, then I don't think they have any capacity to be in the Champions League quarterfinals, because it is a big stage. I get to the point. You see, the project that the owners of PSG brought up, the pinnacle would have been winning the Champions League, just like Chelsea did, just like Manchester City has done recently, right? No matter how much money you spend on the club, the pinnacle, the end project, right, is to win the Champions League, because that is the largest glory any club can achieve, right? So for PSG to sincerely say that they are among the best when it comes to the Champions League,
then that's what they have to earn.
Then that is what they have to earn.
All right. First, let's look at the other side of the draw. So the winner of that Atletico de Madrid Borussia Dortmund tie would face the winner of also the PSG and Barcelona tie. So the draw has been done. So any team at all from these 4 teams playing in the quarterfinal could make an appearance in the final. But then to the other side of the draw, where people are saying, see, is the toughest one, is where Arsenal come up against Bayern Munich. And you remember that season where Bayern Munich had to put 10 goals past Arsenal, 10-1, arguably they qualified over 2 legs. In that, you know, probably that was Arsenal's last season in the Champions League. Since then, they've not played in the Champions League up until this season. And then also, you have a repetition of a fixture that has happened or been recurring in recent times. Manchester City against Real Madrid. But then first, Arsenal Bayern Munich.
Arsenal Bayern Munich. It is very interesting, right? Both clubs are having a sideway, should I say, positively and negatively derailed season, right?
Wow.
Yes. When
you can compare Bayern's to Arsenal's.
No, there's no comparison between Bayern and then Arsenal when it comes to this season, because what Arsenal is doing in the Champions League and in the EPL cannot be equated to what Bayern Munich is doing. Bayern Munich is having a symbolic season, right? And as we discussed previously, Bayern do not have that fear factor with them no more, right? And I can tell you for a fact that should Arsenal, whatever they've been able to do, right? I mean, keeping clean sheets and scoring a lot of goals, and the fact that they've been able to eject more into their spine by having Declan Rice, right? It's going to add an effervescent edge to Arsenal's game, and it is clearly being shown by what they have been able to do this season. So I don't really think that 10-2 scoreline is going to happen again. And if I had to put a stake on it, I think that Arsenal is going to qualify. Do not be.
You believe Arsenal will qualify ahead of Bayern Munich?
Do not be deceived by the name Bayern Munich.
Okay.
Bayern Munich this season do not have what it takes, right?
But they have a Champions League winning coach.
It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you need to show up to the party. Arsenal has got more experience. Bayern has the experience with them, right? But at the end of the day, Arsenal has some confidence about them this season. And to me, when it boils down to who is going to win, then Arsenal is going to win.
I'll soon take your predictions with regards to all the 4 quarterfinal games that will be coming up in the UEFA Champions League quarterfinal stage. But then lastly, this is a fixture we saw 2 seasons ago in the Champions League. Last season, we saw it again where City were ruthless over 2 legs. This time around again, we are seeing it once more in the quarterfinal stage. Manchester City against Real Madrid.
Apart from Barcelona beating Real Madrid 5-0 a couple of years ago, no team has utterly annihilated Real Madrid. No team, absolutely no team has annihilated Real Madrid. And last season was a debacle. Last season was an eyesore. Last season was something that even Ancelotti was not ready to talk about, because you cannot lose 4-0 against. It's not even the scoreline, but the manner in which they lost.
Yeah.
I mean, for 90 minutes, Real Madrid could not even get out of their own 2/3. So that should tell you the flamboyance at which Man City came at them. You see, from minute 1 to minute 90, Man City showed that, hey, no matter what you do, we've got a great tactics. We've got the match wrapped up. And I do believe that this season is going to be something different, because you realize that Man City has lost a couple of players, right? And Madrid has rather strengthened, even though they've lost Benzema, they've brought in Jude Bellingham, the best under 21 midfielder in the world currently. And if you look at his ratio, if you look at his numbers this season, they are crazy, they are massive. Because you're looking at a player who scored 20 goals from midfield. The last time you saw a player score 20 goals as a midfielder was when Yaya Toure did it, right, a couple of years ago. So when it boils down to who is going to win, it's going to be dicey. But I would say that this is going to be probably the most interesting, the most difficult, the toughest match in the quarterfinal stage. But I do believe, for the sake of it, Real Madrid should have the edge.
So you are choosing Madrid to qualify ahead of Manchester City.
This is Real Madrid. You hardly go against them.
But then first, quickly, let me take your quick predictions. Atletico de Madrid, Borussia Dortmund. Who is going on?
Atletico Madrid qualifies.
Atletico Madrid qualifies. We have PSG and Barcelona.
PSG qualifies.
PSG goes.
PSG qualifies if Mbappe comes to the party.
Okay, then to the other side of the draw, Arsenal, Bayern Munich.
Arsenal.
Yeah. And then we have Real Madrid against Manchester City.
Madrid
will go. But if I should push you to the wall again and ask you, PSG, Atletico de Madrid, who qualifies to the final?
It's dicey. It's going to be dicey. Yeah, it's going to be dicey, because you don't know what is going to happen within those periods.
I still want to push you to the wall.
PSG qualifies.
PSG, so makes it to the final.
Yes.
And then Arsenal, Real Madrid.
Real Madrid.
All right, so first is tipping a PSG and also a Real Madrid final in the UEFA Champions League. But I don't know which ones you'll be going for. You also stick with this prediction. Let's also have you say, and let's know what you also have, who is winning the UEFA Champions League. But then here are some stats from the quarterfinal round of the 2023-24 UEFA Champions League season. So the top scorers, that's what we have for you on your screens. And then also the top assisters, as well as the most clean sheets so far in the Champions League. All right, so it's still Eurozone on the Our Media channel. Like, subscribe, and also comment in the comment section. But then it's time to move to the UEFA Europa League, where the quarterfinal draw also took place right after the UEFA Champions League draw. And the parents, yes, currently you have that on your screen, where AC Milan will be playing against Roma in an all-Serie A affair, and also Bayer Leverkusen will be playing against West Ham United. They got a thumping 5-0 victory over Freiburg in the second leg to advance 5-1 aggregate. And then also Liverpool, who are just hunting for the quadruple, they play Atalanta. And then also Portuguese side Benfica, they take on Aubameyang's Olympique de Marseille. But then looking at the parent, it means that the winner of the AC Milan-Roma game will be coming up against either Liverpool or Atlanta. And then also the Bayer Leverkusen-West Ham game will come up against the Benfica-Marseille game. But then quickly, Liverpool, Atlanta, they dispatched Sparta Prague 11-2 on aggregate. 5-1 in the first leg, 6-1 the return leg at Anfield. Do you think Liverpool still remain the favourite to win the UEFA Europa League?
Is there any competition? I told you after the 5-1 in Prague that there's no team in the Europa League this season, right? Where if everything is equal, if everything is correct, if the variables are the same, that is going to challenge Liverpool, because Liverpool is doing something that is crazily insane. They should have been doing this in the Champions League, not the Europa League, right? But at the end of the day, that is where they find themselves, and they've not got the squad depth to do it. But the young guys have come into the squad, and they are proving themselves. They are showing the capacity they've got when given the opportunity, and they so far not disappointed like they did last night. It is all about being given the opportunity, grabbing it and justifying the reason why you should be given another opportunity again when it arises. So at the end of the day, you ask yourself, 11-2 on aggregate. It's been a long time that a team in the Europa League or a team in Europe had so much confidence about them scoring 11 goals in 2 matches. I mean, it's great.
So you tip Liverpool to qualify ahead of Atlanta with ease?
With ease, yes.
With ease. All right, the other fixtures, so I can quickly take your predictions. We have on that side of the draw, we have the all-Italy affair, AC Milan, AS Roma, De Rossi against Pioli.
De Rossi is doing something fantastic at AS Roma since he was appointed. And when I say the trajectory is great, if the trajectory should continue, then I think that AS Roma, with the momentum with them, should qualify. So
you have to also tip in
AS
Liverpool
Roma
to play against Roma in the semi-final. But
then
also you have Bayer Leverkusen. They also came from 2 goals down to beat Karabakh by 3 goals to 2, advancing on a 5-4 aggregate. West Ham, they are facing Leverkusen.
It's incredible what David Moyes is doing in Europe, right? Because the season is not going well for them when it comes to the Premier League, and there are calls for him to be sacked to the extent that banners are being held for David Moyes to be sacked. But at the end of the day, you ask yourself the question again, what mojo has he got when it comes to Europe? Because last season he won the Europa Conference League for them. And then this season is into the quarterfinals again of the Europa League. So the question then is that, do you justify what he's doing in Europe and say that he should remain at West Ham, or you compare and contrast what is currently happening to them when it comes to the EPL and say he should be sacked? And then you realize that in Europe they are doing fantastic. And for me, for them to come to the Olympic Stadium in London and then score 5 unanswered, it shows that there's something going on for them. And I think that against West Ham is going to be very difficult, because Leverkusen is unbeaten, right? I mean, almost 32 matches unbeaten.
Over 35 games.
Over 35 games unbeaten. It's going to be tough.
Who are you tipping to go ahead?
I tip Leverkusen.
You tip Leverkusen. All right, but then the winner of that fixture would also come up against Benfica, either Benfica or Olympique de Marseille.
I pick Olympique de Marseille.
You pick Olympique de Marseille.
Because of Aubameyang.
Because of Aubameyang.
Yes.
He's actually the top scorer so far this season.
He's in the form of his life.
9 goals so far scored.
You need a proper centre forward in such competitions. And he has proven that he is that.
All right, so you went for Roma coming up against Liverpool in the semi-final.
Yeah.
I think Liverpool can topple Roma if these two sides should meet.
If everything is equal, Liverpool should win.
Liverpool should advance to the final.
Should win.
And then also you have the Bayer Leverkusen and also Olympique de Marseille semi-final. Potential semi-final.
Potential semi-final. I'm going to tip without injuries and without any uncertainty. I would tip Leverkusen.
You tip Leverkusen. Yes. So that's a Liverpool Bayer Leverkusen finals. Yeah, that's quite unspated, isn't it?
Dependent on what currently is going on, right?
It's going to be very, very historic, especially for Georgian club, and also Xabi Alonso, who's one of the potential candidates to replace
him,
Georgian club. All right, so it's still Eurozone on the Our Media channel. All right, so you can also have you say Liverpool, they are still in it. They are in cruise control after winning 11-1 aggregate over Sparta. Let's have your predictions. Which teams do you think will be advancing to the last 4, then subsequently to the finals, and which team do you think can be crowned ultimate champion in the UEFA Europa League? But then a bit of statistics with regards to the UEFA Europa League, the top scorers, top assisters, as well as the goalkeepers with the most clean sheets. All right, so that's with some news with regards to the UEFA Europa League. But then let's trickle down to that lower tier UEFA or European football competition, which is the UEFA Conference League, where some interesting games will be coming up in the quarterfinal stage. And there you also have Club Brugge from Belgium taking on PAOK, Babaraman's team. They come from Greece, and then also Aston Villa, Premier League candidate, playing against Los Lille. Olympiacos Perouse will also be facing Fenerbahce, and then Victoria Pleasant will also be playing Italian Serie A side Fiorentina. But then first, quickly, your predictions on this one. Let's just take them one by one. Bruges PAOK. Who do you think PAOK is advancing? Yeah. Then we have Olympiacos Perouse against Fenerbahce. Fenerbahce is going. There's a tough one. Aston Villa against Los Lille.
Aston Villa should qualify.
A little bit of statistics also from the UEFA Europa Conference League, from the top scorers to the top assisters or the best playmakers, as well as the goalkeepers with the most saves and clean sheets over there on your screen. All right, so that's where we draw the curtains on this edition of Eurozone on the Our Media channel. Don't forget to subscribe, but then also like the content and also share. But then drop your comment in the comment section. Let's know the teams you are rooting for, the teams you believe would be advancing to the next stage, the next one after that, and subsequently to the final. And which team do you think has what it takes to win each of the 3 tournaments being played across Europe? My name is Josiah. Thanks for watching. Bye.